My name is Elena Vargas. I am 35 years old and I never imagined my life would change so dramatically in the 8th month of my pregnancy. My story with Alejandro seemed perfect. We met in university, married after graduation, and both built successful careers. He worked as a financial manager at a major construction company while I thrived as an account executive in an advertising agency. After 10 years of marriage and several failed attempts with expensive treatments, the miracle finally happened. I became pregnant. At first Alejandro seemed as excited as I was. Everything changed when his company hired Isabella, a 24-year-old secretary. She was tall, blonde, and freshly graduated. The kind of woman who makes middle-aged men lose their minds. "It's just my secretary," Alejandro would say whenever I mentioned the long hours they spent together at the office. "We're working on an important project." I wanted to believe him. I truly did. Even when he started coming home late, missing obstetrician appointments, and his behavior changed completely. "You're being paranoid because of pregnancy hormones," he told me every time I expressed my concerns. My only comfort was my work. My boss, Mr. Javier Castillo, was an older man who ran the agency with a firm but fair hand. He always supported me, especially during my pregnancy. "Take all the time you need, Elena," he said when morning sickness kept me from arriving early. "You are one of our best executives." One night in my 8th month, Alejandro came home later than usual. His expression was different. "We need to talk," he said, avoiding my eyes. My heart sank. Every woman knows that phrase. "Isabella is pregnant." The words fell like bombs in our living room. "What? She's 2 months along, and we're going to stay together." I stared at him, unable to process what I was hearing. "You're leaving me at 8 months pregnant?" "I'm sorry, Elena, but with Isabella it's different. She's younger, more exciting, and now she's pregnant too." "And our baby, your son? Of course I'll take care of you financially, but there's something else you need to understand." He ran his hand through his hair, the nervous gesture I knew so well. "I need you to sell me your share of the house." "What?" "Isabella and I want to live here. It's a good neighborhood to raise children." I laughed, a hysterical, incredulous sound. "You want me to sell you the house so you can live here with your mistress?" "It's the most practical solution. I'll give you a good price." I stood up from the sofa, my 8-month belly making the movement harder than it should have been. "Go to hell, Alejandro. Don't be irrational, Elena. Think about the baby. You'll need the money. Get out." He left, but not before placing some papers on the table, an offer to buy my share of the house. That night I cried until I had no tears left. My baby moved restlessly inside me, as if sensing my anguish. The next day I arrived at the office with swollen eyes. Mr. Javier Castillo saw me and immediately called me into his office. "What's wrong, Elena?" I told him everything. I don't know why, but I had always felt I could trust him. As I spoke, his expression changed from concern to something else. It was anger. "Alejandro works at Grupo Elite Construction, right?" "Yes, why?" Mr. Castillo picked up his phone and dialed a number. "Bring me the DVE 2023 file immediately." His secretary appeared minutes later with a thick folder. "Elena," Mr. Castillo said as he opened the folder, "there's something you need to know about your husband and the company he works for." He spread several documents across his desk. Grupo Elite Construction is under federal investigation for massive fraud. They have been embezzling funds from social housing projects for years. My mind was spinning. But what does this have to do with Alejandro? "Your husband is not just a financial manager, Elena. He is one of the main architects of the fraud." He showed me documents with Alejandro's signature, bank transfers, and emails. "How do you have access to this information?" Mr. Castillo sighed. "Because in addition to running this agency, I am part of the government's special financial investigation team. This agency is a front to track corrupt companies." My world shook even harder. "You hired me to spy on him?" "No," he answered quickly. "I hired you because you were excellent at your job. Discovering you were Alejandro's wife was a coincidence, one that helped us confirm many suspicions." He stood and walked to the window. "The investigation is almost complete. In 2 weeks we will make mass arrests at Grupo Elite Construction." "Arrests?" "Yes, and Alejandro will face serious charges. We're talking 15 to 20 years in prison." I sank into the chair, instinctively protecting my belly. "There's more," Mr. Castillo continued. The house Alejandro wants you to sell was purchased with fraud money. No, that can't be. We saved for years. The documents show otherwise. The down payment came from an offshore account linked to the fraud. Tears began to fall. Why are you telling me all this? Because you need to protect yourself and your baby. If the house is in your name when the arrests happen, it could be seized as part of the investigation. And what am I supposed to do? Mr. Castillo smiled for the first time since the conversation began. It turns out I have a proposal for you. At that moment his phone rang. His expression changed when he saw the number. It's Alejandro, he said, showing me the screen. Probably calling about the latest fraudulent project. With your permission, I'll put it on speaker. We need to document everything. I nodded, feeling a mix of pain and rage. Javier Castillo, my boss answered. Mr. Castillo. Alejandro's voice sounded confident and arrogant. I have the documents for the Amanesa project ready. We've adjusted the numbers as agreed. Excellent, Alejandro. Why don't you come to my office now? There's something important we need to discuss. Of course, I'll be there in 20 minutes with Isabella. She has been very helpful with the documentation. Bring her, Mr. Castillo said, looking at me. In fact, why don't you also bring the documents from all previous projects? It's time for a full review. All the documents. Is there a problem? No, we'll be there soon. When he hung up, Mr. Castillo pressed a button on his phone. Did you get all that? Yes, sir, a voice replied from the intercom. He turned to me. You have two options, Elena. You can leave now and pretend this conversation never happened. Or you can stay and witness what is about to happen. What is going to happen? Justice. At that moment I noticed several people in dark suits entering the building discreetly. Your husband is on his way with incriminating evidence, and his mistress, the same mistress who, according to our investigation, has been helping him falsify documents. He approached me and placed a hand on my shoulder. The question is, Elena, do you want to be part of this? I stayed. 20 minutes later, Alejandro and Isabella walked into the agency carrying boxes of documents. She wore a tight dress that highlighted a belly that definitely did not look 2 months pregnant. Mr. Castillo, Alejandro greeted confidently. Then he saw me. Elena, what are you doing here? She works for me, remember? Mr. Castillo replied. Please, take a seat. Alejandro and Isabella sat down, visibly uncomfortable with my presence. Before we review the documents, Mr. Castillo said, there's something you should know. He pressed a button on his phone. The doors opened and several federal agents entered the office. Alejandro Vargas, Isabella Mendoza, you are under arrest for federal fraud, embezzlement of funds, and document forgery. The color drained from Alejandro's face. What? This must be a mistake. There is no mistake, I said, finding a strength I didn't know I had. Everything is documented. You knew about this? Alejandro stammered. Not as much as you knew about stealing money meant for social housing. Isabella began to cry. Alejandro told me everything was legal. He promised we would be protected. Did he also promise you a baby? I asked. Or was that a lie too? She lowered her gaze, answering without words. As the agents handcuffed Alejandro, he tried one last desperate move. I can explain. I have information about more important people. Everything is recorded, Mr. Vargas, an agent said. Your confessions, your emails, your bank transfers, and now these documents you so kindly brought us. You can't do this. I have a family. Yes, I said, gently caressing my belly. You did. The following months were a whirlwind. Alejandro and several executives from Grupo Elite Construction were prosecuted. The investigation revealed fraud of more than $100 million. Mr. Javier Castillo, or rather Special Agent Castillo, helped me protect my legitimate assets and keep the house, since I could prove my share was paid with honest salary. Isabella made a deal with the prosecutors. It turned out she was never pregnant. It was part of Alejandro's plan to manipulate me. 2 months after the arrest, I gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Valentina. Mr. Castillo and his wife were at the hospital supporting me. I have a proposal for you, he told me while I held Valentina. The advertising agency is real, even though it also serves as a front. We need a creative director, someone with your talent and ethics. He was offering me a promotion after all of this. I'm offering you the chance to help unmask more people like Alejandro from the inside. Using your legitimate skills. I looked at my daughter and thought about all the families affected by the construction fraud. I accept. Today, 5 years later, I run the creative department of the agency. Our advertising work is excellent, but our real impact goes far beyond that. We have helped expose dozens of fraudulent schemes. Alejandro is serving an 18-year sentence. Sometimes he sends letters asking for forgiveness, saying he has changed. I keep them in a box for when Valentina is older and might have questions about her father. The house that was once the scene of betrayal is now filled with laughter. Valentina is growing up happy, surrounded by love and strong values. Mr. Castillo has become a father figure to her. His wife, Maria, is like a second grandmother. Do you know why I chose you for this job? Mr. Castillo asked me at Valentina's 5th birthday party. Because of your advertising skills and your integrity. Even in the worst moments, you never lost your dignity or your ethics. I looked at my daughter playing in the garden, thinking how different everything could have been if I had silently accepted Alejandro's betrayal. Sometimes, I said, the worst moment of your life can become the beginning of something better. And sometimes, Mr. Castillo added, a simple advertising agency can change the world, one scam at a time. Valentina ran toward us holding a drawing she had made. Look, Mommy, it's us catching the bad guys. I smiled and hugged her. My little girl already knew the difference between good and evil, between truth and lies. And I discovered that true strength is not in hiding pain or accepting injustice, but in standing up and fighting for what is right, no matter how difficult the path may be. Thank you for listening to today's story. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. See you in the next story.